Cyberpunk Red's gone solo with its new sourcebook, single player mode. So, let's unbox it. All right. Single player mode for Cyberpunk Red. As you guys know, we've been running a campaign of Cyberpunk Red for the last couple of years. And Lair of Secrets, we're currently gearing up for season 3 of that. And so, I've got a fair amount of experience with Cyberpunk Red at this point. But solo mode, I've never played it solo before, and I have an interest in those games, so I figured, why not get it? I already got the PDF. This is the print-on-demand version from Drive-Thru RPG, which arrived, gosh, I don't remember. I think it was last week sometime. And so, of course, the challenge becomes opening the box, but we shall prevail. All right, I went for the higher quality color edition for this one. I'm not really sure how the lower color quality one looks because my last product that I got for this was the Shadow Dark GM's Companion, which was black and white, so it didn't really matter. So single player mode, well, let's delve into it. So it's a reasonably page count book. Let's see, all told, we've got 104 pages. I actually took the PDF on a trip I went on recently, and I've poked at it a little bit, but I did not get overly far. So far, I mean, the quality's decent. Like, the page weight's okay. It's not like, the shinier gloss of the actual normal rule book, but good enough. And I like having the physical book in my hands. There's this initial introduction talking about, why you do single player mode by Peter Norton, who had a bunch of experience. He has some YouTube videos on it. I'll link to them in the show notes, which was basically just talking about him playing solo version of Cyberpunk and why he got into it in the first place. So we get into here, and we've got an overview of solo play. Again, this is about as far as I've made it into the book at this point. You do need the core rule book to run this. And let's see, you got a bunch of references, a bunch of DLC. So obligatory map of Night City. Very nice. Going to come in handy. I like this. So they've got an Oracle section here where, let's see, consulting the Oracle. So this is kind of standard for your single player games or your solo play. They're talking about closed questions. Is there a police blockade between the crew and their objective? Is the local gang out in force tonight? And then there's open questions where, let's see, they go beyond the yes-no binary and say, let's see, you're trying to break into a warehouse. So you ask the open-ended question, what is inside the warehouse? And then he rolls on each of the verbs, bribe, grid, and remote. And then presumably they get you something. So cool. Let's see, if I come back over here, I think the idea is that you're not necessarily running just one character. You could choose to run a whole crew, which is pretty nifty. I'm liking the art. It's very thematic and not just like recycled from the regular book, if I remember correctly. So we get into, let's see, morale, combat, solo play clocks. Ooh, I like that idea. Yeah, so I'll have to go back and talk about this more once I actually get into the game and have a chance to actually read the rules, but I like the idea of rolling a dice pool and then having a clock that figures out when something's actually going to happen. That seems like a thing to steal for the regular game. All right, missions and campaigns. Get hired, do the mission, get paid. Let's see, beat charts and solo play. Oh, interesting, because I do use the beat charts. So the beat charts are how you can plan out your adventure in Cyberpunk Red, and it's a good way to kind of get that up and down pacing going on. Cool. Lists and table. Well, lots of lots of lists and tables. All right. So this was the verbs, nouns, and adjectives we saw before. Looking through this, and I think they referenced this in one of the pages, but I didn't call it out. Like, there's a lot here that you could just steal for your regular Cyberpunk Red campaign, and I think I might have to, right? Because it's nice. I also have the solo game master's guide. I think that's what it's called, and it's has similar kind of ideas of like, what does it smell like? What does it look like? Getting into the descriptions of the areas that you're in, the places to live, cube hotels. Yeah, guys, I think this is actually a pretty darn nice source book just for regular Cyberpunk Red. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but I like that it's got utility just beyond solo stuff. I think that's not overly surprising, but I don't think these tables exist in the core rulebook. So I love like the list of law enforcement groups, nomad groups, myriad companies, gangs, relationships, combat zone, streets, combat zones. Pretty cool. Masculine names, femme names, non-binary names, handles. Yeah, this is definitely not in the core book. I would have remembered all this stuff. So this is great. Like, this is just pages upon pages of tables. And if you've been listening to the podcast or watching us for any period of time, you'll know I really like tables. Let's see, what are these? This is, I guess, just different names for net runners. So you just have random net runners and solos and techs and stuff that you can come up against, which I think is pretty kibble flavors. Atlas is gonna love this. Very nice. Pretty cool. Advertisements, okay. Street corpse items, because there's corpses and they have stuff on them. A memory chip containing a letter, a can of Smash, bag of kibble. Different kinds of corpses. So street rat corpses. Let's see. No, wait. So that was, I guess I was looking at street rat corpses, edge runner corpses, corporate corpses. We got all the bodies hitting the floor here, guys, and we can find out what's on on their bodies. List of radio stations, what's on the screen, so shows, and then mission generator. Pretty cool. Hooks and developments, cliffhangers, plot twists. This is pretty cool. I'm loving the tables. I know I've just said that a couple of times, but I like all this sort of just random inspiration that you can bring to your solo game and to your regular campaign. We got back of the book. Let's see. We have some blank forms. Diceless dice. Huh. So go fully analog, but missing your dice. Use this page. Just close your eyes and point at random at the page, and then use the result generated. D10s are on the top, D6s on the bottom. Well, that's pretty cool. I could have used that on the train when I was reading the book in the first place. All right, we got forms for NPCs. You see tracker. Solo play clocks. Again, I'm loving the play clocks thing. I really want to steal that. I don't even know what they are, and I want to steal it. That's a holdover from when we played Blades in the Dark and Scum and Villainy. Quick and dirty combat tracker, mission builder tracker, beat chart tracker. Again, all this stuff is pretty handy just for your regular Cyberpunk Red campaign. So there you go. That's a quick overview of the book. I'm liking it. It's clean to read. The layout's pretty good. As with, regular Cyberpunk Red, the devil's in the details. So actually sitting down and using it will be where I see exactly how easy it actually is to use. A lot of this, just looking through it, right? Like the solo rules are pretty compact. There's not a ton of content there, and you're relying on the core rule book for actually building your character and stuff. I'm totally okay with that because I think the stuff that they've added with all these charts what they've added with all these charts really makes this worth picking up. It reminds me of the augmented reality generic Cyberpunk source book that I've picked up and talked about on 1 or 2 episodes in the past. It's just being able to just grab some dice and go is super helpful for me as a 50-something gamer who has a gazillion things to do, even though he's got one kid out of the house and another kid in college, right? There's still just so much going on in the world on a day-to-day basis. Anything that makes my solo gaming or group gaming life easier, I'm in favor of. There you go, single player mode. I'm going to read through it. At some point, I'll come back around and offer some more detailed opinions on it, maybe on one of our upcoming episodes. But so far, I'm liking it. I think it's worth checking out. As always, you can find us at YouTube. We're Lair of Secrets. You can visit our website at lairofsecrets.com. And if you've got any feedback for us, well, leave a comment on the actual video on YouTube, or you can email us at podcast@lairofsecrets.com.